Good evening, everyone. The time is 7:36. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Vice President Ferguson, could you do the invocation, please?
Good evening, everyone. Father, we just thank you for another day that you allowed us to see. We thank you, Lord, for your presence. We invite you into this meeting. We thank you for allowing us to do the business of the city. We thank you for our citizens, for our employees, and for all that are associated with this city. We ask that your peace be present, your truth be present, and you're honored in this meeting. In Jesus' name we pray, amen and amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. This meeting is being recorded. Now, it's a roll call. Councilmember Herring.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Councilmember Guillaume.
Here.
Councilmember Fareed.
Here.
Councilmember Harrison will not be here today. Vice President Ferguson.
Here.
And Council President Curtis is here. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hear none, by unanimous consent, the agenda is hereby adopted. The only piece of legislation on the docket tonight is, number it,
48.
48. R-48-2024. A resolution to authorize the purchase of equipment, software, and licensing for body cameras as per the Police Accountability Act of 2021 from Axon Enterprises. It was introduced on April the 1st, 2024. The public hearing was held on April 9th, and it's being read in today, April the 15th. It is sponsored by Derek Curtis, Council President, on behalf of the administration. Whereas the administration has determined that it is in the public best interest to authorize the Glenarden Police Department to contract with Axon Enterprises for the purchase of equipment, software, and licensing for 22 body cameras and necessary accessories, and whereas it is necessary to authorize this purchase for the total amount of $58,097.97 to make sure that police officers are held accountable for their actions, to protect the officers from false claims, and to ensure our department stays compliant with state laws. And whereas the total cost of $58,097.97 will be funded from budget line item 10-55-50-8360, support equipment, law enforcement supplies, and whereas the city was awarded the PACT support and sustainment grant by the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention, grant award number PACT-2024-0056, in the amount of $30,000 for body-worn cameras to be reimbursed to the city by the state of Maryland with a grant agreement expiration date of June 30th, 2024. And whereas Axon Enterprises has been contracting with the city of Glenarden to supply tasers since 2019 and were awarded a contract with the authorization of R-32-2019, satisfying 818C of the charter permitting the approval of this resolution. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the council of the city of Glenarden, sitting in regular session this 15th day of April 24, has determined that 1, the purchase from Axon Inc. of 22 body-worn cameras, accessories, and licensing and accessories for a total amount of $58,097.97 per the proposal be and is hereby approved. And number 2, payment for the police body camera shall be made from the support equipment Law Enforcement Supplies Budget Line 10-55-50-8360. Number 3, that the police chief and city treasurer will coordinate on the assembling of the documentation of Axon invoices to be submitted by the police department to the governor's office of crime control and prevention for reimbursement of the city's purchase of body-worn cameras before the BACT grant agreement expiration deadline of June 30th, 2024. And number 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage.
Mr. President,
Councilman Mayor?
yes, I move that we accept R 48, 2024.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Vic, on this resolution, once it's taken care of, your name should be corrected.
It is correct.
D-E-R-E-K.
It's correct.
Okay. Oh,
No, I just pulled this up and it,
yeah, that
okay.
was not right. Oh, yeah, I saw it. All right, any other discussion?
Thank you.
Any opposition? Hearing none, by unanimous consent, this resolution is adopted. Easy. All right. Then we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is administrative reports. We'll just go ahead and read them so see. Okay. First up is councilman, Mayor Cross. Mayor Cross, I don't want to try to figure that out, so I'm just going to put it on my phone, the timer.
Thank you, Council President. Hello, citizens, and hello, everybody. Thank you so much. So this is the mayoral report for February to March 2024. I will say that we stand still and opposed to Charter Resolution Amendment 01-2024. This resolution, citizen creates really a totalitarian system absent of any checks and balances. We already have council members and the treasurer and the mayor that is eligible to sign these checks. The checks that are signed should be always signed by the treasurer and the mayor. There isn't any provisions in the charter which affords it to be moved forward without that signature. Without that signature, in fact, it makes that check void. So there is a severe problem that we have with checks that have been cashed without having the mayor's signature on there. I will tell you that there is a title that is assigned to this, and it's not a favorable one that impacts this city relative to its business. As we look at Article 8 in financing and duties and responsibilities, we really have to look at what errors have been put as far as violating many of our open meetings acts, because there's a lot of changes that have happened in this charter. The charter online and the charter that we swore into are absolutely starting to be totally different. And in fact, I heard the councilwoman say there was a red line charter, so I don't know where that one is. The mayor's office actually supported 12 opportunities last month, one being the mayoral forum. We actually took on our multicultural event in this particular forum with Miss Rima Kapani, and we also brought in Miss Adama Koloko, who is the CEO for Sierra Leone, Impact Sierra Leone, and also Seeds of Hope. Now, with each one of them, we have an opportunity to directly support.
I'm sorry. Can you make sure mic is on? The people online saying they can.
It's on. To directly support the Sierra Leonean family with educational tools, clothing donations, and also we sent over about 350 teddy bears. So this is a really good news story for how we're moving Glenarden into the international community. We're also impacting at home. Now we have our Forever Grand Travelers of Glenarden. That's our 60-plus-year-old residents. We took March the 14th a trip to Luray Caverns. Now Luray Caverns, as you know, is about 200-plus feet underground. It was absolutely amazing, and we did have a wonderful time We took out our most senior citizen, and she actually walked the entire way. So it was just a beautiful meeting there at Luray Caverns. Up next will be June the 13th. But I have the 20th here, but I think we'll go June the 13th to either Sandy Point or Ocean City, Maryland. So the Fairview Grand Travelers is open for new members as we go out. We're looking at the sights and wonders across the state of Maryland, but we're also building and making new friends. Amongst other meetings, we had the opportunity to host a Maryland Mayor's Alliance effort, which is targeting against child hunger. With no child being able to be hungry in the United States, that's its goal. We are working hard to find, with the farmers, the black farmers in the state of Maryland, opportunities and urging Congress to protect the nutritional portion of the farm bills that are providing critical foods and assistance to over 40 million Americans. Drug-Free World, United Nations had a call of action for us to come. Turkey actually hosted this event. We took the first family to New York, to the United Nations, and one of our partners, we did go there and we talked about the importance of educating youth on why drug use is bad. We did have the second annual community Easter extravaganza with the brothers of Omega Psi Phi Lambda Gamma Gamma. We actually entertained 250 youth with their parents and volunteers. We massed at about 300 plus. We are looking forward to building more community youth involvement opportunities. And with that, we have a proclamation that we have provided to our national award winner, Ms. Keisha Thorpe. She is a Glenarden resident. We are excited for her. She is the next $1 million teacher. So we are proclaiming that in this coming month that we will build more relative to our multicultural DEI&A, as well as we collectively build our legislative watch. At the bottom, I am excited to say all that we were watching and all that we testified for, all of these nearly got passed, to include the Armed Services Vocational Battery. Students don't have to now sign up for the military when they take the test. They actually have an opportunity to take the test to see if that will be valuable for them, and also go to SAT way. So this way they're not hounded by recruiters. It was passed. We have several bills that are now sitting at the governor's office to include educational access to attorneys, educational breakfast and lunch program, universal expansion program, which was passed, and we're so excited about that. Happy to support it with the National Advancement for Colored People. Sexual abuse and sexual assault awareness prevention program. So human trafficking, as you know, is one of my target areas that I've been supporting with We Model USA, and we are excited to see that the state of Maryland is taking a bigger stance on stopping human trafficking. Labor and employment, equal pay for equal work and wages. We were able to get that passed as well, so we're excited as we fight for one fair wage to build a wage of $15, and not just tips, but a real salary. So we're excited for also our interscholastic athletes, students who are seeking eligibility waivers. This one, as well as Eric's Law, which was a vehicle law identifying those with hidden disabilities, passed through the Senate, didn't make it through the House, but we're still going to keep pushing because we value and we treasure our members of our society with hidden disabilities. And what that would do for us is allow them to have a registration where when they're pulled over, our armed forces, our police officers know what they're approaching so they can approach with care, particularly if someone has autism or ADHD or PTSD. So we were very happy to see our task force for returning citizens being created. So citizens, be ready to actually put your name in the hat for this. This is an expansion entry service system. It has been established. It was passed through the House and the Senate. So a lot of good work. I'll put together a platform, a program of all the stuff that Mayor was able to get through in this particular legislative session that's going to be coming down the pipe for the city of Glenarden and the state of Maryland. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Cross. Are there any questions from Council members?
Yes, Mr.
Councilmember,
President.
one second.
Sorry.
Councilmember Herring, I saw Councilmember Fareed's hand first. Councilmember Fareed?
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to point out that the Red Line Charter is on the city's website. The last meeting that we held was March 26th, and if you click on that date on the calendar, it will show you all of the supporting documents, which includes the Red Line Charter as well as the PowerPoint presentation that we shared.
Thank you. Councilmember Herring?
Yes, Mayor, your grand travelers, is there a fee affixed to that?
Thank you, Councilman Herring. So there isn't a fee because traditionally what we will do for that is if citizens want to attend, there isn't like a mandatory like a admissions fee, only is what they pay to attend. So for Luray Caverns, there is an entrance fee. So everyone was responsible for their entrance fees. But Mayor takes care of the travel to these locations. And we also work with the state for many of those heritage sites. Like when we went to the Harriet Tubman site, the state actually supported with the rangers and the park rangers to make that event for our citizens pretty much free. The only thing they had to pay for is their meals.
And the travel is covered by what? By who?
Mayor Cross covers that travel for the citizens. I also attend as well.
Okay. I guess another question is, and I see everything that you've done and where you've been and all of that, but I'm trying to see what has been done in the city of Glenarden. You have all of these nationwide initiatives that you're doing, but what's going on right here in the city?
Well, you know what, Councilman Herring, every one of these legislations that I've been supporting, all of that comes right back to the citizens. Free breakfasts and lunches in the classrooms, particularly takes care of our Judge Sylvania Woods kids. And not only that, but we've also went to Judge Sylvania Woods for Career Day, and we were able to talk to the 6th grade class, 3 classes, and we talked to them about reinventing themselves as they prepare for the 7th grade. So aside from going and being in the classroom, providing programs like the Easter Extravaganza, which brings that sense of fairness and wonder that we grew up with back to our children, as we look at the road systems as well, I mean, we're actually working with different legislations that is putting money back into the city. So as a strategic level, we have taken care of Glenarden, not just Glenarden, but all the district as well as the state of Maryland. So Glenarden has had a lot of service from this mayor. And also, if we look at the task force on the returning citizens, this is an expansion that will help put a task force to decide how citizens in our community can actually be employed. As of right now, they only have minuscule jobs, which does not equal to them not being in that category of being recidivists. So with this particular legislation as a key witness on it, this will provide and mandate that the state puts money against this a task force to help devise a way for the state of Maryland, to include Prince George's County and Glenarden, to come up with adequate jobs to support people that are in our community. Every year we do the Returning Citizens Program with State's Attorney Aisha Bray-Boy. This builds upon that and ensures that we actually do provide them a free, an adequate way of employment. And then the one fair wage is a key piece too. So when we look at Glenarden, our industry is essentially Whitmore Town Center at Glenarden, and people that are in the tips industry. That legislation will take tips from being $3 to actually giving a full wage for people. So this is the work that I'm looking from the strategic level. It's going to push right down into Glenarden.
Well, I guess my thing is, well, free lunch and free breakfast has been in these schools for 40 years. So that's nothing really new. It's been in the schools for a while. And as for the reentry program, I actually talked to the director of that program a couple of years back, and the issue is that Prince George's County refused to sign up for it. That was the issue with them. They for some odd reason, they choose not to sign up for it. I don't know if they signed up for it recently, but I know when I talked to them about 2 years ago, Prince George's County, or most other counties signed up for. Prince George's County would not sign up for it. So I'm just trying to see what are we getting back from all of these excursions of yours? Because again, I don't see it. Again, lunch program has been here. The recidivism program. When we have the expungement fair, we have loads of people out there that basically deals with returning citizens. So I'm just curious, you have all of this in here, and I'm just trying to figure out what are the citizens of Glenarden benefiting from all of this travel, your African nations travel and all of that, because I actually don't see it. I'm on the ground. I see what the citizens need and what they want and I'm trying to give it to them. I think as well as most of this council who vote on the legislation that we bring forth. All right, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the mayor? Vice President Ferguson?
Thank you, Council President. Mayor, you mentioned about some, I think you said some toys or stuffed animals that were donated. Were they donated? How was that funded?
So I donate those toys because this family pulls together toys for children every year. This year, we didn't get an opportunity to support with the Polar Express as we would normally do, but we donate toys to children every year. And instead, this year we got Impact Sierra Leone reached out to us and said, do you have anything that you can help? Because they have a village over there, the Fondue Village, which has about 500 residents. And they said the children have never really had them. So it was an interesting thing. So I said, okay, well, this year we will make you an impact statement. So we did donate over 350 toys to them from various locations. Many of them we pulled from the house, thrift stores, and different ways like that. So it was I think it was very advantageous. And now also with the Impact Sierra Leone strategy, we also have a build out for our farmers with the Maryland Black farmers have been reached out to them. And they want to actually work with helping the Seeds of Life program. So if you ask, what we are doing is we're building really an international connection to where eventually we'll have an industry that supports from wherever Glenarden is and going forward. With the data center that's coming into Glenarden, that also helps with building out into Sierra Leone, which has a democratically elected government, which wants to actually build out more infrastructure for communications and touch and reach.
Thank you.
So this is going to be a good news story. It's developing.
Okay, I did hear you say that you and your family, and I did see your last, I don't know what your video, the meeting that you had with the most recent one, and I did hear them associating your donation as a donation from the city of Glenarden, and I don't understand how your donation as your personal family has to do with the city of Glenarden. Also, I do not understand. You mentioned that you fund this last trip, some of the responsibilities, financial responsibilities of the last trip. Last meeting, it was established that you have $4,820. You only used 180 of, you have funds in your that's for training, but you do have money. So I'm not understanding why you are using your personal funds opposed to money that is in the budget.
Well, I brought the budget with me, and there isn't any budget for special events. That was taken from the mayor and provided to the city manager. So I don't have any money for special events.
Thank you. That was not the case. The case was that because you did not want to be accountable for the funding that you did, the money was moved over to the city manager, and some of the dollars were moved to the police department. But you have access to it. It's just that was allowing us a way of tracking it, and so it's just like putting it in an account. If you have a savings account or a checking account, you don't have it in your home, but when you want to use it, then you go and access it. You put in a withdrawal. So you do have funds it's not true that the mayor of the city of Glenarden does not have funds to spend. Not only do you have funds for the events, but you also have, I'll stand to be corrected, $4,820 for training. So there's no need for you to go out of your family's budget for any training or any type of conferences. So I just want to make that for the record that you do have funding. So if you choose to spend your household money, then God bless you.
Clarity,
Thank you.
though.
Point of order. I asked you a question and I allowed you to answer, and then I followed up with statements. So
But your
thank you.
statements are not true, madam. Your statements are not.
Point of order.
So I recognize that point of order.
Point of clarity, is that a Robert's Rule of Order we exercise? Point of clarity? Because your
I
statements are not true.
So as I understand it, council members can call a point of order, like a point of information. I have to ask parliamentarian about a point of clarity. But that's the right of council members at a council meeting. I don't think anybody else has that right to call that point of order or point of clarity. So in Robert's Rules of Order, that's the way. Vice President Ferguson.
Treasurer Stewart, is there any funds in our budget currently, not the new budget, the budget that we're currently in, for events or that, well, they were, maybe all of them have been exhausted, but that and also for her training?
Yes. In 2023, when we were doing the budget for 2024, we had moved funds to the admin department and the police department to make sure that we could account for expenditures for the mayor's events.
Mayor Cross.
You cannot cross budget lines, citizens. That's a lie.
Mayor Cross. So,
You cannot.
point of order. Point of order.
Truth is all I'm asking for, Council President.
Mayor, I don't always agree with what other council members say, but they have a right to speak. And if citizens want to validate whether that is true or not, then they can do their homework. But what we cannot have is you blurt out when someone's trying to talk. So I do not like removing you from a meeting, and I hope that you would stay under the rules of the meeting. So Mayor Cross, I get it. I've been lied about, I've been talked about, but you don't see me around here just yelling people down or acting a fool. I get it. I get it. You have your truth, Mayor Cross. I understand. But what we will not tolerate here is any outbursts, any over-talking people. And if you can have self-control, just sit there. If you don't believe it to be true, that's your opinion, not to believe it to be true. And I encourage all the citizens to come out, if you don't believe something to be true, to validate it, go out there, search it, get the truth for yourself. So, Mayor Cross, as your first warning, please do not interrupt anybody else while they're talking. If there's a question that goes your way, I will come to you and then you can answer the question. Thank you. Treasurer Stewart, can you please continue in answering Vice President Ferguson's question, and please speak up, please.
Yes, so during the budget period last year, we took some of, the mayor's budget for events were put into the admin department merely to ensure that it is properly accounted for through, getting the proper documentation, the proper authorizations and so on for her events. Areas in which we had difficulty years before. So the funds are there for her. She just have to work with the city manager and the police department, especially for the I think they have a trunk or treat event that goes along with Harvest Dairy Wine. That event, I get to understand, didn't happen because the mayor did not work with the police on the Harvest Day Rewind. That's what I can remember of it. Thank you.
So just for clarity, even though the funds were moved under the various departments during the events that were budgeted, that she requested for to be put in the budget, like the Pole Express and the Harvest, if she had requested to go ahead on and pursue to put those events on, the money would have been available for her?
No.
Yes, the money would
Thank
have been
you.
available for her. Thank you.
Mr. President, may I follow up on that right quick?
Councilman
Just to get
Barry?
some clarification. So, Mr. Stewart, so this, we put that money there when you were working to create a budget.
Yes.
When we created the budget, this was prior to us even voting on it. You basically allocated money for this and that, and one of the things was administration would have events in their budget along with police.
Yes.
And that's the way it was done, prior to us ever voting on it. So basically, we can do what we want to prior to. It's just, y'all submitted that to us to vote on, and that's what we voted on.
Yes.
So that's what's locked into place right now. So there's no crossing budgets, anything. That was the planning phase, not the actual approved budget where we were making changes. And just looking at the numbers here, so there's still like $21,000 sitting in that line item that has not been spent this year that is actually available for events that the mayor normally would have.
Yes, sir.
But because I do remember when we talked about this, one thing that the city manager was very concerned about was that she didn't want to take on that responsibility of putting on all of those events. So we were like, well, you don't have to worry about it because they're the mayor's events and she would put them on. But obviously she chose not to. I mean, because I didn't want to do the Pole Express and I didn't want to be involved with the Pole Express, but the city manager ended up doing the Pole Express. I was up there at the Pole Express. So, I mean, that's what happened. So I just want to get that clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Ferguson, are you done?
Thank you. I'm done.
I did have one follow-up as relates, Mayor Cross, to the, I think the Sierra Leone event. You said there were donations. Do you know who were those donations? Were we giving them donations or we received donations to give to that effort?
I provided all those things for the babies, and they had a wonderful time with them. You can see the pictures on my Facebook post. Those babies are half as tall as half of the children. So those were taken care of. And when they say, Mayor Cross, the mayor of the city of Glenarden, just be clear, they didn't say city of Glenarden, they said the mayor of the city of Glenarden. So I make sure that anybody that talks about this city, because there isn't any budget line for special events, and you cannot cross budget lines, clearly say of the city of Glenarden. So Glenarden is getting a lot of benefit for no gains from this particular budget. Thank you.
So, kind of got. So all of the donations that we provided to Sierra Leone, they were solely from you and your family.
Mayor Cross, mayor of the city of Glenarden. Exactly. We take care of it that way. So you don't have to worry about those. We took care of them, and we also took care of our children here, the Boys and Girls Club
Point of
as
order.
well. So
Mayor Cross,
they are not given from the city of
Mayor
Glenarden. There
Cross,
is no money for the budget from the city.
Mayor Cross, I'm just trying to ask a question. And I think this is what we're getting to. I commend you for wanting to give to that effort. I think I'm a giver. I love to give to people. I think it's a great attitude to have. I would just encourage you as we get to donations, as we have tried to do in the past, and I think what City Treasurer Stewart is trying to get to is that there's accountability when it comes to donations, and that we are aware of what the mayor of the city of Glenarden is doing, because there's not just a one-man show. There's things that we have to be accountable for. So listen to what I'm saying. So, Mayor Cross, I'm just, if there are donations or things like that, that you keep the city abreast, so that if there's any accounting that goes along with it, if there's any liability that goes along with it, that we can cover you, that you don't get out ahead of the team and get, hit with something that, you could have easily been protected from if you walked with the team, so that we can make sure we account for everything. So that is all. Are there any other questions before we move on?
One other question, because this is kind of confusing. So if you're donating it personally from your family, why is it in this report? You're not donating it as the mayor of Glenarden. You're donating it as Kashina Cross and family. So why is it in this report? And if you're doing personal things, they should not be in this report. That's a question. That's a question.
Mayor Cross?
Because you're not going to separate who I am from the title as well. So when I donate the mayor of the city of Glenarden gets benefits from just me being out there in the public serving. That's the beauty of having a strategic mayor. Now, with these particular toys, there's no budget. There's no budget for me to even go to Maryland Municipal League, Maryland Mayor Association. There's no budget. The only thing, you can go to the conference, but you can't pay any dues. So you can't go to the conference without the dues being paid. This budget that's in here, you cannot cross budget line, city. When you have a budget line that's applied for the administration or the chief of police, those are the only people that can spend it. And there is no mayor-made request for your budget line. It's a zero. It's a no. It's already been told. So I don't know where the treasurer's pulling his numbers, but I'm sitting here with the budget. There's zero for special events for the mayor. So the mayor does support, because I swore to defend and protect the Constitution, but I also swore to support the citizens of Glenarden. That's what I'm going to do, even if it takes my own budget. So I take my mayor's pay to support the Glenarden children.
One second. Can I just, I'll come back to you. So just for clarity, Mayor Cross. I don't know if it was 2021 or 2022, and what you just said is not entirely accurate. Based on, during that time, you went to the chief to ask to use some of his budget for an event that you wanted to do for the seniors, and that was a point of disagreement then. But I mean, I'm listening to what I'm saying. I just don't think you could pick and choose when you want to stand on that principle and when you don't want to stand on that principle. All I'm saying is that we cover you, and what Councilman Beharin is saying, that if you're doing things that's personal, that's fine, that's admirable. But when you're going around using the mayor of the city of Glenarden, if you could just keep us in the loop so that if there's any liability, anything that's legal, any donations that we have to account for, city treasurer has pointed out, that we can cover you so that can be a robust and carefree event. And that's the challenge that we've had. We just want to work together. If we could just stop the bickering and arguing and I don't like her, I don't like him, and just come together and work together, whether you like someone or not, because it's all for the betterment of the city and for the protection of the city. Councilman Beharin.
Yeah, just to follow up on that. So you say the donations you're giving them as the mayor of the city of Glenarden, that's what you're doing, and you're putting that out there as that. So doing as such, once you say that you're giving them as the mayor of Glenarden, that becomes technically city of Glenarden's property, and this council has a right to know how it was paid, who gave it to you, and basically that's it. Who gave it to you, or who donated it, and who paid for it. And if you paid for it, then we can ask for proof that it was donated. Because you're giving it. So if you're going to give it as a personal person, as Mayor, as Mrs. Kashina Cross, we have no right to ask you what you doing or how you doing it or whatever. But if you're going to sit there and say, I gave it as the mayor of the city of Glenarden and put it in your report as a donation and a function of your duty as the mayor, then we have, as a council, have a right to ask you how much it was, what did you get, what did you buy, because technically that is the city of Glenarden's property at that point. I do want to go right quick, and I'm going to drop this. Again, you have $5,000 in this budget, the 2024 budget. You must have the wrong budget. The 2024 budget that I'm looking at has $5,000 in here for your conference and training, and you only spent $184. For membership and dues, you have $1,200, and you didn't spend any of that money. So there's money in your budget for these programs and for you to go to conferences and for you to have membership and pay for your dues. The money is there, and I don't understand why you can insist on putting that information out there, which is a false narrative, that this council has stripped you of everything. When I'm sitting here looking at a budget that that's budgeted at $19,000 for the executive office alone, and a number of items. $10,000 of it, $9,000 is for salary, but $10,000 of it is for miscellaneous things. Even a discretionary fund of $300 that hasn't been touched. So in essence, you got a couple of $1,000s that you haven't used.
Well, Councilman Herring, honestly, National League of Cities is a National League of Cities. That is a city conference. That has nothing to do with the mayor personally. So when you say that there's 1,200, that's the dues for the National League of Cities. That's something that's really for the entire city. That has nothing to do with the executive. That's not Maryland Mayors Association, Maryland Municipal League, Maryland Association of Mayors. That doesn't include Prince George's County Mayors Association, Maryland Black Mayors. None of that's in here. All that was cut. So without paying those dues, you can't really go to those conferences. You know that. Now the conferences are there, which we use the conference fees when we go to MML. But that just covers the hotel. That doesn't say that you can even show up in the door because you haven't even paid your dues yet. I paid those dues out of my own pocket. Now, when you're talking about your other stuff here, the miscellaneous, we have used miscellaneous. We have the money, the purchase order for that. So what I've been able to use, I've used. I just really have a problem with you guys saying that I can use other people's money. And let me just be clear for the record. That was the chief of police coming out party for the seniors. He was hosting that party. I joined in with the money that I had remaining in the executive budget. He carried that entire event. Look at the title. It was the Chief's Coming Out Party. We did a senior event with it, but the truth is it wasn't that much money.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna keep on beating this dead horse, but again, the money is there. The $1,200 is for membership and dues. You can spend it. No. The National League of Cities is usually paid by the city because it is a citywide. It's paid by the city. And yours is for your personal dues for whatever dues you want to participate in. And if it was for the National League of Cities, we would have $1,200 sitting here right now, and we don't. But we are members of the National League of Cities. So those dues have been paid, and it's been paid by the city. So again, the $1,200 is here that you choose not to spend for your membership and dues, and there's another $4,800 that you could use to go to MML and also everybody's a member of MML. So just to let you know that, so you don't have to pay any dues for that. You're already a member of MML, so you can just pay for your registration and everything else. So I mean, I just wish you would just either look at the budget that's here and just be upfront with the citizens and not put out this erroneous information, which you constantly keep on doing. Thank you, Mr. President.
And I'll just add, if there's a misunderstanding, so for 2025, know that the membership budget, that you can use it on other things. If there was a misunderstanding, fine, just know going forward, you have that money to use for memberships. You pick and choose what memberships you want. All right. Next is the city manager's report. City Manager Habita.
Good evening. I'm going to highlight a couple of things in my monthly report, and then you can ask questions. On page 3 of the report, under ARPA funding projects, we only have at this point 2 HOAs who have responded, the cottages at Glenarden and Woodmore HOA, and could use a little more help on engaging Frost and some of the other HOAs on their interest in the allocation that has been given to each HOA of $60,000 out of the American Rescue Plan funds. The second thing I want to highlight is just an update on the elevator. I've got news today that the original figure of 8 months for manufacturing of the elevator is only going to be 4 to 5.
Oh, great.
So that shortens the time when we can go ahead and order and get it here and installed. So I thought you would want to know that update on that item. And I think, one of the things that I put down for upcoming for April, we did not have to do public comments on the bond bill hearings because I think they happened to coincide with, at the end of the session, with the bridge that collapsed. And so we were not invited to go to any bond bill hearings, and it's my understanding, in talking to Senator Benson's office today, that the bond bill amount that we will be receiving for the public safety complex is $250,000. And there's some additional monies that they're checking on that they believe will also be available from the state, but not in bond bill form. I think if you have questions, I'd be glad to answer questions.
Yes. Question as relates to, I know you talked about the elevator. Has there been a proposal, numbers attached to the Nutrition Center and the council chambers along with the timeline?
Not yet. No, I did hear from Ms. Felder today about the elevator, and they're working and finalize the figures on that.
Could you please check with them? 'Cause ideally, if it's going to take a couple of months, ideally we would like for it to be in the summertime when when the council's out for
Sure.
a month and things aren't as busy. So if we can get something in front of the council, a timeline tied to some numbers to these projects, that'll be great so that the council can make a decision on when we're going to move forward with it. Thank you. Councilmember Harry?
Yeah, I just want to be clear. So we're getting 250,000. That's it?
In bond bill funds, yeah. There's some other monies that they have not pinned down as of today. When I talked to Angela Jones of who's the legislative aide to Senator Benson.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's my understanding it's in the realm of $1 million.
So and if all goes good, we're looking at about 1.2.
Yeah. That's the way it's looking.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Chief is not in today, so Lieutenant, do you have a report in his place? And please turn on the mic. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, citizens. I'm Lieutenant Robinson, and everyone has been given a copy of the Chief's report, so you guys can read over it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me, and I'll try to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Lieutenant. Are there any questions for Lieutenant? City Manager. Councilmember Jones.
Yes. Good evening, Lieutenant. Thank you so much for standing in for the chief. There is an indication on the report, February 27th, command staff attended the Glenarden Focus Group Summit at the Gold Room. The Glenarden Focus Group Summit, you have any information on, is that a police function, or is that something that some citizens have put together?
That's an event that the citizens put together.
Okay.
That was an event that the citizens put together. Is it getting louder?
Yeah, I don't know if that makes
Oh, okay. And the focus group was focused on what, police activities, or?
I wasn't there, so I do not know.
Okay. All right. I'll get in touch with the chief about that.
Okay.
And I did also want to congratulate the police department on the sneaker ball was phenomenal. I was in the background, but I saw the setup that Miss Jones and Sergeant Richardson put together. Just the balloon with the sneaker on top and the silver and black tables. I mean, it was just absolutely beautiful. They did a wonderful job pulling all that together. And I also want to say to the volunteer, Penny Logan, thank you for helping the police department bring this event together. And I'm sure that the daddies and the daughters had a wonderful time. Thank you to the police department for that.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'll just co-sign on that. My daughter, when she came here last week, saw the sign, and she loved the ball as well. She loves to dance, so It was a great time. I had to come all the way back from Baltimore to take her, but she had a great time, as well as the other attendees. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys made it.
Councilman Harris?
Yes, could you just give us a quick update on the LA Fitness situation?
Yes. He's still the person that was shot. He was shot between 6 and 7 times. They don't really know exactly how many times because they can't tell the bullets going in or out or whatever the case may be. But he's been through quite a few surgeries. Today he's stable. I'm sorry, he's critical. He's still in critical condition, but he's stable now. Before, he was in critical condition and unstable. But as of today, he's stable. What else would you like? They have an idea who the 2 people that are involved, so they knew that the day of the incident. I don't know if they've been arrested as of yet, but they have been identified.
Do you know if LA Fitness is looking at any protocols they're going to put in place for this situation? Have y'all talked to them about it?
They are talking about putting in different type of protocols. We're going to meet up with them, and we're going to try to implement some as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Lieutenant, that's
Okay.
Public Works. Mr. Simpson.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and residents of Glenarden. I'll highlight a few things on the report and then open up for questions. With staffing, we have just recently had some turnover there, so we currently do have 1 vacancy with our staffing. As mentioned earlier in work session and public hearing, cutting is underway, and we're doing our rotations with the grass cutting season very much upon us. Vehicles, we have just recently, and you'll definitely see this on the next report, had 2 vehicles serviced with preventative maintenance service, oil changes, a few other things. We also finally gotten the permanent tags on the larger truck and the stickers we are hoping to have before the end of this month. 2 other quick notes to point out. The 2 older pieces of equipment that we do have, we're hoping to get that along with some other equipment in May's meetings to be surplused. And also, one thing that was left out, the roof had been inspected on the 27th. It was a little delayed just because of some scheduling. And I'm open for any questions.
Councilman Maher.
Yes, Mr. Simpson, I see I put a new fence up by the upper door.
Yes.
But it's not locked. It doesn't have a lock on it.
Okay.
I just because I opened it up and walked out there. So if I can do it, anybody else can do it.
All right.
Now you may want to lock that because we don't want anybody to walk out there and fall off that
Correct.
roof. So yeah. All right. Thank you. That's it.
Any other questions? Here none, we'll move on to code enforcement. Mr. Green. And I apologize for my hoarse voice. I was in Baltimore for my son's basketball game. Did a lot of screaming.
Good evening, everyone. Does everyone have a copy of Code's report? So if anyone have any questions, I will answer all the questions.
Are there any questions from the council? Hearing none, you can stick around because citizens might have questions.
Yes, of course.
And last but not least, City Treasurer Stewart.
Good evening, everyone. And I am sorry I'm going to follow on what our code enforcement and public work did, but you have the report. If you have any questions, you could ask. But there are a few things that I want to bring to your attention. Our cash update as of March 27, we have $3.4 million in current accounts. And for our investment account, we have $8.699 million. I want to also bring to your attention that we started we have started to disseminate correspondences and application for the rebate, the tax rebate for citizens, for resident citizens. I want to also make it clear that it is essential that everyone who is interested in getting that rebate, please make sure that you apply for it to the end of, or you have through the end of June to apply for it. Anytime after June, it will not be followed through on. So that also is in the letter to let everyone know that it is essential. There had to be a cutoff time when this will be effective. So right now, the letters are out, the informations are out. If you go on the city's website, you will find the application. Please apply. It's for $500 for each residential owners of the city of Glenarden. Another thing I'd like to talk about, which is, after what the city manager says about the grants that we have out there, they are moving very slow. The community resilience, we need more applications for that. There is $60,000 holding there for citizens who need that kind of support. And the Intergenerational Poverty Relief Fund, we are getting some more applications. It's like $4,000 for those who are eligible to get this funds. So I'm asking that everyone make an effort to apply for these funds for the assistance that you need. And that's it for my report. Thank you.
Councilman Harris. So for the rebate, so it's not automatic. People have to actually apply for it.
Yes, and why we're doing it that way, we want to make sure that we're not just blanketly sending funds out there. We want to make sure that people are, working with us to ensure that they receive these funds.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. It goes back to something the mayor, I'm sorry. It goes back to something the mayor was talking about. I can't remember, Mayor Cross. It was the minimum, not minimum wage. You just joined something.
Minimum wage. Mm-hmm.
And that no one.
One fair wage.
One fair wage. Mm-hmm. Let me get out of my thoughts to come back, because I don't think that's it. I think it's something different. You just joined something with the mayors across the United States. And I think the overall objective is so that everyone has money in their pocket. But let me go back and I have a question. I say that because there's a software, a program that can help track efforts like this and try to identify and pay out large-scale rebates like this. It's the same system that is used for that program that the mayor is a part of. But I'll get back to you on that.
I would appreciate that, yes.
Councilman Harry?
Yeah, to follow up on the rebate program, so did you mail out the application to the homes?
So the mailing is going to start this week. What happened is last week we were working on mainly the logistics to get it out. And I think as at the end of today, we have the process in which to mail out these applications. But I also wanted to make sure that citizens have access to it by putting it on the website, not only on the website, but on social media as well, where there should be a link for everyone to link and do the application. So, yeah.
And you're going to make sure nobody submits two.
Yes, we're going to be following up on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so there are some people in the back saying they cannot hear, but I see online that they do hear. So I'll just repeat for all the citizens who are online and who are in the back. There is a rebate program that was approved by the council to put money back in the pockets of citizens, and that the city is trying to construct a way by which we can provide that rebate to citizens. And so what they're doing now is setting up a way by which citizens can apply to receive that rebate. There's more information that's going to come out about that, correct?
Yes. Yes, and it will be mailed out by mail blast. We're going to be using emails as well.
This will be a mail blast.
And it's on the website as well.
So it's on a website. People get mails sent to their home, emails. So please be on the lookout for it. And we'll try our best efforts to make sure we repeat these at every meeting so that people can know about this and the deadlines can be explicit. We'll state it at every meeting so that everyone can know about it.
Yes.
Is that good for the people in the back? All right. Thank you. Are we looking at ways that we could get these forms to citizens who may not use email, who may be elderly, need help filling out the forms, or?
And this is why, too, these will be sent out by mail.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Councilman Herron, is that it?
No, I have another question.
Okay.
And I'm going to come back to what I want to go over that report that we got on the live scan fees that you gave us. And thank you for doing that. It was only a 3-month report, but it was very telling. Mr. President, can I share my screen?
Make sure you have access.
No.
You should have access now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, this is a.
And I'll just ask. So, speak up. I think the people online can hear us, but the people in the back cannot. So, just project your voice so everyone can hear.
People say I'm yelling, and I'm a bully. So, yeah. I just wanted to go over this right quick, and again, I appreciate you for doing this. Again, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, where the disconnect is with this whole process, because again, we brought live scan on as a convenience not only to the citizens in the city, but also, to basically generate revenue on behalf of the city and to cover the cost of live scan and the expenses. And looking at this, your report and everything, you're saying, these are the reasons why, some of these are not being, some people are not being billed the $20, basically the $20 service fee that they should be charged, that the city charges. So, and I guess one thing that did kind of jump out at me was that where you're at the last sentence where you say the rate of losses indicate in the above review are not material to the operations for the service. Now, I'm sure you're looking at that as from an accounting standpoint. Because again, it will be immaterial at $600, will be immaterial over the whole scope of the budget. But I'm just saying that in my estimation, and what my feelings is that no amount of money is immaterial for the citizens of Glenarden. $600 could be a sidewalk repaired, a pothole repaired, some event, something that we can help somebody with. But I got the fee schedule for CJIS, which is a criminal justice information system. And basically, all of these are the fees that background fees that they charge to do background checks on various various employment. And we charge $20 to each one of these, correct?
Yes.
As a fee. Okay. So, and even they say, and this is from the state, and they say even they charge a $20 fee, maybe charge for, on top of the background fee. So I guess my issue is, again, looking at the budget and the report that the latest report we got in February, you know, we're well under budget on the amount of money we're collecting for live scan. We're over budget on the regular fingerprinting, but the live scan is really, really, really under budget. And that's a concern for me because again, while we budgeting, it's like we're padding the budget, you know, $30,000 and we're not getting, but we only have $14,000 and there's no way in the world we're going to make up $15,000 in 4 months, 5 months, whatever. So, you know, I look at that and I look at the regular fingerprinting and in total, and then I look at the expenses for live scan. And so in total, we're going to bring in about $26,000, take away the $4,000. So we're going to bring in about $22,000 for live scan. Right. And I guess my issue is if we're spending that kind of money, we're only going to bring in that kind of money, but the position that for the police clerk is $45,000, we're way, way away from even covering that expense. And I just think that, you know, we as a council need to look at that. Because again, if we're doing a service and it's not going to even barely cover the expense of the position that's doing the service, we need to look at that and even consider where we need to move on that. Because me personally, I would rather just eliminate the position and split the money up amongst the police officers, kick them all up at $2,000 and be done with it. Because again, it isn't, and get rid of live scan and fingerprinting altogether. Mr. President, yeah. Oh, you got it. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, so when I do my summary of that, the fingerprint salary is $45,000. Live scan revenue bringing $14,000. Revenue comes in at $12,000, and the expenses for live scan is $4,000. So that's $22,000. So we're like $23,000 in the hole just on that salary alone. And I don't even think we're counting benefits for that. And I guess my issue is, why is the money not being collected? Because when I look at the log sheets, like right here, this person paid $13.25, but we didn't charge them the $20 for our fee, you know, so we're out money. The person below was not charged anything, so the citizens of Glenarden paid that fee. I don't know who, I mean, well, that's an employment issue, so that's fine. So that's clean. But when I look at some of the other ones, again, $20 not paid here. This person, we paid everything. We covered, we scanned their fingerprints. We paid the $31.25 that they're supposed to pay, plus we didn't collect the $20. So we're out our money. But this NCIC, what is that? Do you know?
I think it has to do with the I think it's National Center of, I don't remember, but it has to do with police force.
The Lieutenant, do you know? NCIC? Yeah.
National Crime
National Crime Investigative Center? Yeah. Okay, so I don't understand why they're not paying. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you don't either.
Right. But I think for those, if you don't mind me, I think for those, CJIS is not charging for those as well. So for those individuals that come from that organization to be fingerprint, CJIS does not charge us for that either. But so I figure that's why we don't charge.
But we should charge because we're doing a service. See, we're charging a $20 service fee. It's for you coming into this building to get your fingerprints scanned and this person taking their time to do it. That's what the $20 is for. So no matter what CJIS charges, we charge. So they still have to pay $20 no matter what. That's the fee that we put out there. And so I see a lot of these. And again, I see, you know, some people, again, and like on this one, no $20 for these people. You know, so I'm just trying to figure out where the breakdown is. So when you get these log sheets, do you reconcile these log sheets to the
CJIS bill,
the CJIS report, yes, and the credit card statements that come in to make sure that the revenue that you got matches what is on that? All this is tied up.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And one of the things that, that I'm glad that we actually did this review is realizing that the live scan charges and the live scan fees must always be equal. They work in tangent. But our fees, the $20, is what we're really talking about. Now, the issue with the $20 is whenever it's not collected, we need to have a process. We need to have a system in place to record why these amounts were not collected. And it needs to be in the file to justify why not collecting these funds. And that's a system breakdown that I think needs to be resolved.
What's that, the $20?
Yes, the $20.
And could you repeat that again? What was it?
What I'm saying is that whenever these funds are not collected, there has to be a process to tell us why it's not collected. And that's my greatest hiccup on this research,
Okay. Let me scroll past these. And that's my issue, is that I know there's no policy in place for us giving any refunds, rebates, discounts, or anything else. I saw on the list, it was some people, officers from District Heights, I guess from District Heights, that we basically covered the full expense, the $31.25 and, the $20. And it said District Heights, so it wasn't NTIS. So again, we're doing a service. We get no benefit from giving District Heights a free fingerprint scan. I mean, this the citizens paying for this, and that's my issue. Is that this is citizens' citizens' dollars. This is money that's supposed to come into the city, and that's why I'm asking. Is this being reconciled? Like it needs to be reconciled. Again, there's nothing in writing for any refunds. There's nothing in writing for discounts. I asked you, were you doing? Did you authorize it? No, you didn't. The chief, no, he didn't. City manager, no, she didn't. The only one that can authorize a discount in the city of Glenarden is the city council. The city council, basically, and like I say, even with, and like I say, your responsibilities is, to collect all the money that's due to the city, per the charter, per 802. But again, we as a council, have a right to assess fees as we do, and any deviation from that has to be approved by the council. So there's nothing in writing. I know there's nothing in writing, and I just don't understand why it's continually happening, because even as late as, I got a sheet here now, but from April, which shows, again, no $20 fees being collected. And I'm not understanding why, when we just talked about it 30 days ago, and now it's still happening that there's no $20 fees being collected. Here in April, I'm not going to pull the sheet up because, again, the council president did say that they have the last 4 digits of people's credit card numbers on there, so we're not going to show that. Again, that's a problem for me as an elected official, as a person who have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens in Glenarden, that fees are not being collected that this council said need to be collected. And I think that, as the treasurer, you're going to have to stay on top of that. You're going to have to make sure and that they are being collected, because, again, it is one of your responsibilities. And I do want to say this, and, just put this out there, because it's something that's been said. I know we're going to move on to something else, and I just want to get this out the way, is that the city, I don't know if some employees don't understand the makeup of the city of Glenarden as a municipal government. The way the city is made up is the citizens of Glenarden, then it's the mayor and the council, and then everybody else falls in underneath us. The citizens entrust us to make decisions on their behalf when it comes down to their tax dollars. So for employees to say, I'm independent of this, or this is my department, no one's going to tell me how to run it, or this is my department and I'm going to do what I want to do. That's the farthest thing from the truth. And I just think employees need to realize that this council, in their wisdom, was nice enough to invite you to work on behalf of the city of Glenarden, and in doing so, you got to follow rules and regulations that's out there. Now, again, this council and the council has broad powers, and I say that to say, 602 of the charter. It says, the council can create, change, and abolish departments and offices. We can change the rules. We can assign duties, additional duties to any position that we choose to do. So this you're not going to tell me what to do thing, and I'm independent of this thing, and I'm independent of that. That's not the way the city runs. I've heard that a number of times, and I think they need to be clear on the fact that this council does run the city, and we can decide what you can and cannot do and how you will and will not run. And, that's just the way the makeup is. We're responsible to the citizens. We got to answer to them. This is their money. This is their tax dollars. We got to make sure that they get the services that they're entitled to. So, I just wanted to get that out of the way because I'm hearing that a lot. And I don't know why people are going to take people taking I believe in taking ownership of your department and responsibilities, but then again, we as a council also have to take ownership of those departments and responsibilities also to make sure that our citizens are being served and that things are going correctly. And I'm telling you right now, with this fingerprinting, with it being only 47% of the budget has been collected, that's a problem for me because again, it's not even covering the salary. And I think we really need to look at this as a body and see where we're going to move with this because again, fingerprinting is not required nor is it needed. I just wanted to get that out there. Again, with the fingerprint, I think we're probably going to need a deeper dive into this because if this is just 3 months and it's about $600, I think it needs to be looked into.
Yeah. If you don't mind me, I genuinely believe that because there was no, as you say, policy there, protocol to follow what was going on over the years, even before I came here. I think that's where the problem is. Now, I am going to be putting in some sort of standard operating procedure to ensure that we collect everything, and what we don't collect, there must be some reason why. And that must be explanatory so that I could present that to the council.
And that's what I'm going to say, because any refund process really should be tracked because that is an audit, that is an internal control issue. Giving refunds and giving discounts to just willy-nilly giving these discounts, I think is a major problem. And I'm trying to audit this. I mean, maybe they will. If they look into it, they'll see that there's a pattern here that we have nothing in place to say why this is being done and who's getting it. Somebody could just like somebody and be like, "Oh, I like you, so I'm not going to charge you the $20," and stuff like that. We don't know, but there should be something in place. But at this point right now, there's nothing in place, so no discounts should be given and no credits should be given, and nobody should be getting anything for free. When it comes down to that $20. Now, if CGS is going to waive their fee, that's on them. But we, at this point, do not charge that $20 fee, and that's the way it should be. Until something is put in writing on who we're going to waive, which we shouldn't be waiving anybody. If we're going to start waiving fees, we might as well get rid of the whole program altogether. So, thank you.
Councilmember Jones.
So, Mr. Stewart, for clarity's sake again, you're saying that there's no procedures in place. The council has never put any procedures in place except for what's in the charter for code enforcement. So moving forward, will you be working with the chief about his department to bring clarity, to find, so that you all, because one of the things that I did suggest as far as fingerprinting, that we go to the state because they do audit that department, the fingerprint, yes, as far as they're concerned, because it is their service that they've given to us to offer to as a service of the police department to our citizens and surrounding citizens.
Yes, and I agree. I agree that we will be putting in procedures in place to ensure that we cover all funds that should be collected by the city. But not only that, we will work with the state if needs be, but definitely I will work with the chief to ensure that there are policies in place, or procedures in place to ensure that we don't lose these funds.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Mr. President, may I follow up on that right quick? Just right quick. Mr. Stewart, as the treasurer, and I've been doing auditing for over 40 years, that's where you're independent. Because you look at the situation and you put the policies in place that you feel you need to get what you need to get, the information you need to get and cover yourself on the audit. So I would do the procedures and then let the chief look them over and see if they're feasible. But you should be doing those without the input and independent of the police department, so that there doesn't look like there's anything.
Yes.
So all right, thank you.
Yes, agreed.
Right.
Yes.
City Manager Habitat.
Yeah, just one comment, and that is we're basically starting from scratch on drafting procedures. Inquiry to other municipal chiefs indicated that, they thought that would be a great idea to have a manual. So there are others who are in the situation where the state has not provided a manual. They provide a list of the fees, and they train folks in fingerprinting. But from what I can tell, there is no manual that's been handed down, and I think we're going to have to draft our own because there just nothing exists in terms of, other than the list of what's supposed to be charged, which is amazing to me. The state would train people and then say, go and fingerprint and charge whatever you're going to charge, because there are other municipalities, as you'll see in the budget document that you're getting, that charge like $50 for charged from the town, from the city. Some charge as much as $75. So it's like, okay, there needs to be some structure, and I think that's a good thing that we're talking about it, and we're gonna do that. But I don't, I mean, this is breaking new ground. This is not just what's happening here. I mean, in terms of having anything in writing, we haven't found anything yet from the state.
Thank you. All right. That ends. One clarity. So we did see the budget submitted. Take it. We're going to get it.
Yes.
All right. Yep, that's it. All right. Next item on the agenda is citizens' comments. Citizens, if you're in the building, please raise your hand. I'll call on you. If you're online, first. If you're online, please raise your virtual hand. If you do not know how to raise your virtual hand, you can open your mic, and I will call on you. When you come to the mic, please just state your name, and you will have 5 minutes. Okay, your name and ward. You will have 5 minutes. If you do have questions, I suggest that you ask all of your questions, because if you ask a question and you allow someone to answer the question, that does count against your 5 minutes. So if you have questions, we'll write them down, or department heads can write them down and can address them all at once, so we don't take up any of your time. I'll ask that there'll be no personal attacks. If there are personal attacks, I'll give you a warning. After the warning, if it continues, then unfortunately, I will have to ask that one of our officers escort you off the premises. So with that being said, all citizens are welcome to speak. And first up is the young lady I've seen with her hand up in the back.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Shamika Cruz, and I have been a resident of Glenarden for about 8 years. And the reason why I'm coming in today is because of an incident that happened on April 2nd with the City of Glenarden Police Department. Mm-hmm. There was a high-speed chase going on that particular day at about 11:30 that night. I looked my head out the window out the door to see what was going on. I realized that it was my daughter. I guess they got behind her because she didn't have a license. She panicked and she did not pull over. I immediately called her once I realized it was her, and I asked her to pull over. She said, "Okay, Ma." I said, "Where are you currently?" She said, "I'm about to pull over at the corner." And I said, "Well, what corner?" So I don't know. So I went to literally get in my car. I went to back out my driveway because I didn't want her being alone with all those officers. As I pulled out of my driveway, I saw the police in her car pulling up in front of the house. So I literally put my head down, to pull the car back in the driveway. I never saw her get out the vehicle to run in the house. All I know is I just got out of the driver's side to walk around to the back of the vehicle, and immediately guns were drawn on me while standing in my driveway. They told me to put my hands up. I literally froze, and I did just like this. I had only a phone and my keys in my hand. I did not run, I did not move, I did not attempt to resist anything. Officer, am I allowed to say the officer's name? Officer badge number 9370. Officer Wright. He decided to run across the grass while his gun was drawn towards me with his gun pointing at me. He immediately grabbed me and threw me on my vehicle and began to twist my arm behind my back and began to try to put me under arrest. Me and my daughter look nothing alike. We're similar. I have blonde hair, red glasses. She has no glasses, black hair. I had on a white t-shirt. She had on a navy blue and checkered jacket. There was no similarities in us. As he threw me on the vehicle, he kept hollering at me, telling me I need to obey the commands of an officer. And all I said to him was, "Sir, you have the wrong person. I am her mother." And he kept saying, "Be quiet and obey the commands of an officer." So he proceeds, and as he's trying to put the handcuffs on me, it's kind of like he's sliding me down on my car. And then we end up, and now at the front of the car, where he takes me and throws me on the ground in a puddle of water. My family is still inside the house, so they don't even know that this is going on. And now he's over top of me, trying to clamp the handcuffs down on me. So now he's trying to incarcerate me at this point. And I'm still saying, "Sir, you have the wrong person. I am her mother." My fiance came out. He said, "What are you doing?" He said, "That's my wife, get off of her." And they drew guns on him and told him to back up. My daughter stuck her head out the door, and said, "Let my mother go." So the police proceeded to run in our house with guns drawn in front of my 10-year-old. I had a guest at my house, and my 14-year-old and my 2-year-old grandbaby with guns drawn. And I'm still on the ground in this puddle of water, being treated like I was a dog. I was treated as if I was not human for standing in my driveway, regardless of my daughter being wrong or not. I had nothing to do with that. I literally stood in my driveway. And then he proceeds to stand me up. Then Sergeant Covington came outside and was like, "Take the cuffs off of her. Take the cuffs off of her and let her go." Because my daughter had already been identified as the person that they were looking for. And we all proceed to walk in the house. And they now have my daughter detained. They have handcuffs on her. She's not running at this point. They're walking her out. And Officer Wright runs in to the house and tells her she needs to stand still before he tases her in front of my kids. And I said, "Why would you tase her?" And I said, "The same way you threw me on the ground like I was a dog?" He said, looked at me and said, "You should obey the commands of an officer," and walked out. And I asked Sergeant Covington repeatedly for this man's name and his badge number. He kept saying, "I'm going to give it to you." I said, "Sir, you keep your cards and a notepad on you all at all times." He kept saying, "I'm going to give it to you. He finally gave it to me after about 20 minutes. And I said, and I need an apology from this officer. He went to tell the officer to give me an apology. Officer Wright proceeds to come over to me, and he starts going over police protocol. And I said, and I looked him dead in his eye, and I let him talk. And I said, sir, that was not proper police protocol. I worked for Department of Homeland Security, and I was trained by Federal Protective Services. You use excessive force. He looked at me and said, no, ma'am, I did not. These are police protocols. I said, then why did you throw me on the ground? And I have pictures to show my knees being bloody, that I had bruises on my arms. I had to go, I'm still sore, that's why I had to get up. I had to go to the hospital. I have a chest contusion. I have bruises on my arms. My legs are now swollen with fluid on it, on my left leg, and both of my kneecaps, and I'm still having joint pain from that incident that happened on the 2nd. And I made a mistake on my report because I did put April 1st, but it was April 2nd, so that needs to be rectified on my report. He refused to apologize. He told me, I said, then how did I fall? I said, then how did I end up on the ground? He looked at me and said, you tripped over your own feet. And then I said, excuse me, sir? And then he proceeds to tell me, I said, then how did I get handcuffs on me? He said, I never had handcuffs on you. He said, my body cam is on. And I said, sir, the conversation is over. I need for you to back away from me. I have nothing else to say to you. He proceeds, as I begin to walk off, he proceeds to walk up on behind me. And his sergeant immediately told him, leave her alone. I have been on this property, like I said, for 8 years. I feel completely unsafe. I cry every single day. I feel traumatized. My children were traumatized, and that was the department is supposed to protect and serve. No other officer proceeded behind him. He was the only one. And I had to share that because he was too comfortable in what he did. So it makes me feel like he did that before. And his failure to even want to apologize made me feel even more dehumanized. And that is not something, because if my family had not came out, I would have been sitting in a jail cell trying to prove my innocence for standing in my driveway because I fit the description of somebody you were looking for, and I was the only person there at the point in time. I would have been in a jail cell. That's not okay. And that can never, ever happen again to anybody. My son was assaulted before by police when they picked him up and slammed him on his head. And when I contacted the office, Lieutenant Robinson, he stated, your son was being disrespectful. I stay out of the way. I don't bother anybody in this community. I go home, I take care of my kids, and I stay out of the way. I cause no problems. So for me to be treated the way that I was treated is completely unacceptable. And I just needed to know, what are the reprimands that the city council takes when an officer conducts themselves with this level of misconduct?
Thank you. I'm sorry. What's your name again?
Shamika.
Shamika Cruz. Well, I am sorry that you had to go through such a traumatic experience. And I thank you for sharing your story. I know it's not easy to share that story. What I can say is that we can ask the chief to look into what happened. I'm pretty sure lieutenant is here somewhere, can communicate that. And I don't know what the protocol is as it relates to the police discipline or anything like that, but I would encourage you, to file a report.
I did.
And then after that, I don't know what the protocol is for that. Did you want to speak, Lieutenant? But again, thank you for sharing your story, and I'll let the lieutenant step in. Yes, and you got to sit down or stand up, however you.
Okay, so Ms. Shamika Cruz, she did file a report. The incident did happen on the 2nd, so you don't need to correct the date. We have the date. It did happen on April 2nd. Ms. Cruz filed a report on Friday. I received a report on Monday. I reached out to Ms. Cruz, tell her that we're going to be investigating the case, and I would like to meet with her and get some additional information from her. That has not happened yet. However, the protocol is that anytime someone makes a police report, anytime someone makes a complaint about the police officers, we do a report. That report is then sent up to the charging committee. The charging committee does an independent, they do their own investigation off of what we do. So if I say the guy should get 5 days, they can say he should get 10 days. They can say get 15 days. Whatever they say is what happens. So they have nothing to do with us. So your case will be investigated by me first, and then it will be sent up to the charging committee, and then they will make the final decision on what happens.
So there'll be an independent investigation.
They are independent. They do not go off of my recommendations. Okay. However, their recommendations is bond. Whatever they say is what happens.
I have a question.
Okay. Councilmember Jones, and then I see Councilmember Guillaume hand up next.
Okay. So Lieutenant Robinson, you're saying the charging committee, they made up of citizens, or is this made up of a police board?
It's citizens.
Of Prince George's County?
Yes.
Okay. And it's already established?
It is already established. It's been established almost for like 6 months, almost like 6 months now.
Oh, okay, it came out behind those other things. Okay,
yes.
All right. Thank you.
And you'll give Ms. Cruz the information?
They will actually send her a copy of their investigation as well, the results of their investigation as well.
Okay. Councilmember Guillaume?
Thank you, Council President. Can you all hear me?
Mr. Gray, can you turn that up, please?
Can you all hear me better now, or do I need to speak louder?
You're going to have to speak louder.
How about now?
I think that will do.
Thank you. I don't want to say thank you, but I do want to say to Ms. Cruz that I heard you and I feel you, and what you shared was very triggering. And I do want to say that. I would also like to know, this is for Lieutenant Robinson, is there a way for us, meaning the council, to be kept abreast as to what decisions are going to be made as per this investigation?
Yes.
And typically, do we know how long such an investigation takes place? Because for example, I wouldn't want to keep badging anyone, saying, where are we with this? Where are we with this? What did they say? So do we have any idea how long this usually takes?
How long will it take for me to do my investigation? Once I interview everyone, then that's when I complete my investigation. Then I send my investigation to the board, and I cannot tell you how long it's going to take for them to review it, because they review everybody in the state in Prince George's County. So they have a backlog. One of my officers, I've done a case on one of my officers. It was a frivolous complaint. It took like 3 months for it to come back.
Okay, and another question. I know typically in certain environments, when there is an investigation on an officer, that there's some form of leave, like administrative leave, non-administrative leave, et cetera, et cetera. Is that something that is exercised in our police department or in our municipality?
In some cases, yes.
What are the cases? Like, I just want to know, for example, because I don't want to say yes, and we could do this, and then we don't, and then the council gets held liable for something that we didn't know anything about.
Like serious offenses like shootings and things of that nature.
So shootings, but so let me say this. So a situation such as what we heard, of course, I didn't witness it, but situations from what I heard right now and what we all were privy to, I know how I'm feeling right now. That sounds serious. Is that something, does that go up to the level of seriousness, or is that not something that goes up to the level of seriousness?
Like I said, I don't really want to comment on the investigation right now as to what I've learned from the investigation, but he's on the street as of now. He's not going to be suspended or anything like that, pending this investigation.
Okay, thank you.
Vice President Ferguson.
Okay, so with him being under investigation, there's nothing like you can bring him into the office if you're not going to suspend him, because what I heard is very serious. She's injured. And I wonder, if it was a family member of, I just can't see this officer. And I'm quite sure it sounds like they were witnesses of his colleagues there. This is not acceptable for anyone to be treated such, to the point where, I literally saw her stand up before she even spoke, back over there in pain. And she said she has these injuries and stuff. It's very hurtful. I do apologize for, and traumatizing for a family. I know for me.
Mr. President.
Council President.
Okay. Oh,
Council President. Can you
I'm
hear
sorry.
me?
Ms. Guillaume, did you say something?
I did. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Jesus, I have to scream. I am again, I'm going to implore our police department. I don't need to know the details of the investigation. And again, I know innocent until proven guilty, all of that. So I'm not taking anyone's side. However, but, and a huge comma, what I heard is serious. And if the officer did absolutely nothing wrong after the investigation is done, I am fine, with that. If, however, it proves that he did do something wrong, what I have an issue with is he's still in the streets right now. And I'm not saying suspension or whatever, but I can understand if there was desk duty or something of the sort. But there is such a thing, and I'm not saying this is what happened. Let me be very clear, because I was not there. But there is such a thing as a Black woman in America. I know what it means to over-police, especially over-police Black and brown people. So I would not be doing my due diligence if I didn't speak up about this. I, again, don't know if Officer Wright was wrong. I don't know if Ms. Cruz has all of these things, but all I know is what I heard was triggering. And for me to hear that This person is still outside. I'm not saying that they're guilty, but they're still outside. How are we safeguarding an investigation? And if the investigation comes out that he is guilty, what that's saying to me is we have a person who was guilty still out when they could have been at least on desk duty or something. So whatever is done is done. As far as when I say whatever is done, I'm saying whatever is decided upon the laws of Prince George's County or the municipality, but I would not be doing my due diligence as a representative at large of this entire municipality if I did not speak up against this. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm gonna go to Councilman Herring and then Mayor Cross.
Yes, Lieutenant, you said that it goes before a police review board?
Yeah,
For the county?
The charging committee.
The charging committee. And Ms. Cruz, did you file a complaint with them? So doesn't she have to file a complaint with them?
I've already did it.
No, doesn't she have to file a complaint with them?
I did it for her.
Why would you file a complaint for her when she's the victim here?
Because that's what we're supposed to do.
You may want to check that out yourself and see. It's a review board and see, because again, and not no disrespect to you, because no one, if something happens to me, no one else is going to be filing nothing for me. I'm going to tell a story my way, what I went through, you know. No disrespect for you, Lieutenant, but again, she as the victim should be actually filing a complaint with that board. They're going to investigate and they're going to ask her about it, but I think she should file a complaint with that board. Again, and doesn't all our officers have body cameras? I know we just approved $58,000 worth of body cameras. They all have body cameras, correct? So there's video of this incident for that day, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I mean, again, and I do have the same concern. There is whether he's guilty or not, you know, I would rather err on the side of caution, because this gentleman does have a gun on his hip. You know, we don't send officers out there to traumatize our citizens. We send them out there to protect them. And if she's feeling this trauma, she's very traumatized. You can see it, you know, so, you know, it's something. And then she has to see this gentleman ride by her house. And that's a form of intimidation, you know, if she sees him riding by. So I'm just saying we need to look at that. And I think, and I'm not sure, but even if this board comes back with a recommendation or whatever they choose to do, the city actually can take it one step further than that, I'm assuming. I think when they got rid of the Police Officer Bill of Rights, it gives the city a lot more latitude to handle situations like this. So I think that we as a council are going to have to look into this also. We need to, because this is a serious situation, and I'm not sure if you know that somebody sent out videos. Again, there's a whole Instagram page out there that doesn't look good. You know, it doesn't look good at all. You know, so we're going to have we may have a serious problem. I think we may want to talk to our city attorney also. So, and I think y'all may want to do that also. All right, thank you.
Mayor Cross.
Are you talking about the Police Accountability Board? Or no, it's a separate one that you're talking about, right?
I'm actually talking about both of them. The Police Accountability Board, and then there's the Charging Committee.
All right, so first off, Ms. Cruz, definitely agree with everyone that's spoken here that your injuries, you know, for that, we do account for you. There's a right and wrong way, I think, for people to be injured, and unless you had a weapon or you were causing a threat, that was a little excessive, just for me even. So with that, and so sorry that you had to endure it. Now I will tell you, take this number, 301-883-5042, 301-883-5042. Now that is for you to file your complaint with the Police Accountability Board, which was crafted after 2022. You are alleging that you have had endured police misconduct. You're also an individual who has personal knowledge of this particular alleging misconduct. So the Police Accountability Board was formed in this last legislative session in the county for the same purposes that you're talking about. So that number is a number that you can call. You can also go to the website directly. You do need to know the officer's badge number or car number. You can file the complaint about the officer involved as a witness, and in this case, as an endurer of particularly the police impact and any supporting documents. With this, you also have the ability to actually file this complaint in person, or you can use that phone number. And when you go in to file the complaint, you can do it electronically, and you can also send a written completed form to PGPAB, Prince George's Police Accountability Board, PGPAB, at co.pg.md.us. You can also mail it written to 9200 Basil Court, Suite 406, Largo, Maryland, 20774. Basil Court, Suite 406, Largo, Maryland, 20774. That's a new board that was crafted in 2022 to afford you the opportunities. Yes, so 9200 Basil Court, Suite 406, Largo, Maryland, 20774. But if you use the number 301-883-5042, you can equally file there.
All right. Thank you.
Just for the record, everything that she just said, I sent it to them. They already have it, but you'll see when you call.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Smallwood.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My first question is for the treasurer. Can you tell me or give me a close date as to when the letters will be mailed out to the citizens for the $500 refund?
Thanks, Ms. Smallwood. We are in the process of putting them together to send them out. I think they will go out by tomorrow. So give it another 3 to 4 days to get to you.
So tomorrow is the 16th?
Yes.
Okay. This question is for the police department. Can you give me the crime rate for the city of Glenarden? Can you have it? I didn't hear you.
I'll get it to you. I don't have it.
He said he doesn't have it today, but he can get it to you.
Okay. This question is, will there be a Glenarden cleanup in May this year? Citywide?
City manager happened. I don't know if there's one on the books. Is there one on the books for May?
I don't know that there's one budgeted for. I've not seen it on any special events list.
Does it require a budget?
I don't know. I don't know anything about the history of.
No, it actually used to be included in our garbage contract that every May they would put out 5 dumpsters.
Ah.
I don't know if it's in a current contract or not. We usually do it in May cleanup day. We just call it a cleanup day.
Okay, we'll check with the
Good.
trash company.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, this one, I believe it should go to either the police department or to code enforcement. Will you please send out a letter to the citizens in reference to the noise control? It's getting springtime, it's getting summertime, and Sunday I was trying to sleep and they played music until 1 o'clock in the morning. There's a noise control in Prince George's County and in Glenarden. It's no loud music after 12 o'clock. Okay, and I also would like to thank Councilman Hearn for his outstanding leadership for the past 3 years. I would also want to thank Councilman Harrington and Councilman Herring for standing up for Ward 1 and Ward 2 and for the outstanding programs that they have provided for the city of Glenarden. And I also want to thank Councilman Harrison for a fight, Councilman Harrison and Councilman Herring for fighting for the equal distribution of the wards. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Jones.
Okay. The citizen, Ms. Smallwood, brought up about noise issues. I received an email, I think from Chief O'Donnell, that someone from the Prince George's County Police Department had sent to him and said, as far as the noise ordinance had changed in Prince George's County, and I will send that email to the city administration to inform them. But as far as noise in Prince George's County, the police department was informed that if a citizen can hear it, it's too loud. There's no time. If my neighbor next door the music is too loud for me, it's coming through my house. If I can hear it, it's too loud, and they have to adjust the noise. I know they have this thing about for the city of Glenarden in their charter about decibels and all of that, but all of that was squashed with this new ordinance that came out, I think, if I can remember correctly, the ordinance came out like in 2018, 2019. But I will send that email to the city to let them know that the noise ordinance that we follow the noise ordinance for Prince George's County, and the county is saying now, if you can hear it, it's too loud. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Good evening.
One second, Miss. One second. Can you lower her mic?
Tonight I'm coming before you, moving the mission forward.
1 second, Miss Butler. 1 second.
Veterans Memorial.
Okay.
I'm presenting facts in reference to incorrect information coming from the mayor's office. 2012, our former Gail Parker Carter with veteran Mr. Sterling Queen met the former commander Stan Shore to establish a committee for Veterans Memorial. The committee consisted of 5 Glenarden citizens and 2 post advisors. Our Glenarden City Council and the American Legion Post 275 established a memorandum of understanding. The post would hold related military programs at the Veterans Memorial. And no campaigns are held by Ms. Butler at the Veterans Memorial. Council member Anthony Herring and Ms. Angela Ferguson put in the budget every year for maintenance and added names when needed. Our first names were placed in 2013 on the wall, 2018 and 24. No papers are planned for 2025. I just want to say, when you should know what you are putting out there as information. And I did not appreciate my name being placed as holding campaigns at the Veterans Memorial. The other thing that has bothered me, and this is all I have to say, but I do want to say this. Gail Parker Carter is the one name should be placed in honor at that Veterans Memorial on the wall. And one other thing, I'm going to leave you with this. How could you call a child of God a fungus? Could that be your reflection of yourself? Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
regarding to the Veterans Memorial, we were only asking about the pavers to put it in the budget, but thank you for clarifying there's no need for it to be in the 25 budget. That's what we asked. Should the pavers be in the budget? Because they were in the budget every year. So it wasn't about her doing programs. It was about, we have pavers in the 25 budget. How many and what should we plan for? That we asked the question about cost. We didn't ask anything about programs because we want to make sure there was enough money in the budget for however many pavers each year is put on the ground. So I just want to make that point of clarity. That's all we said.
You can look that up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is LeClaire Cross. I'm in Ward 3. And circling back to the topic of the Glenarden Grand Travelers, I would like to know what each of your opinions were on it. Like, would you enjoy it? Would you like to go?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't know when you're having it, when it's happening, where you're going until it happens. Like I said, we're here in June, but we don't know what's going to happen. So we never get a formal invite. We've never gotten a formal invite from you, Mayor, on your Grand Travelers. You say you're going and you invite the seniors to go, and we sit here and say, okay. That's it. Thank you.
Do anyone else have an opinion for it?
Well, I'll just echo what Mr. Councilman Beharian said, that it's on public record. I've been advocating for us to work together, for us to be kept in the loop of things that are going on. I think some of the ideas that the mayor are wonderful ideas. I think we have a difference in how things are executed, but anything that's given back to our community, our youth, anything that's putting money in the pockets of people who are in need, I'm all in favor of. I think the council has to be, and the city as a whole have to be kept in the loop with different things.
Ms. Jones, do you have anything?
As a retired senior, yes, I would enjoy going, but I myself personally keep a master calendar, and my master calendar is usually full the month before, so I would need to be given notice as to when the event is, at least a month in advance, to be able to plan for it, because I'm also caring for my senior mother and some other persons in the community that I do things for. So I keep a master calendar that tells me where I am every day at any time, because of course, there again, I have things that I do, personal things like Pilates, swimming. I just keep a master calendar because I have to know where I am at any time. So if it's given to me at a specific time, in advance, then maybe I can plan to put that on my calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. And Madam Ferguson? Did you have anything?
I did not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. 1 second. There's one online that I saw before you. Ms. Crutchfield?
Yes, thank you. It's Zanella Crutchfield. Hello, good evening, citizens.
I'm sorry. So you're going to have to speak up.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I have a question. Resolution R09-2024 that the former councilwoman just spoke about, the property tax rebate. I'm looking at this resolution. It says that the city of Glenarden will issue a $500 tax rebate check to its residents. These payments will be issued no later than February 29, 2024. I just heard the financial gentleman mention that a letter will go out soon. So can someone explain to me how this is working? Because I'm confused. I'm reading one thing on the resolution and then I'm hearing another thing. So can you explain to all the citizens how this is going to work, please? Thank you.
Thank you. What happened is the rebate program will be one that asks citizens to apply for these funds. We would like to be in a position where we could send these funds out to everyone, but just to be sure and to control the funds that are going out, we are encouraging citizens and residents to apply for payment, and we will send out money either through direct deposit or via check. A letter will be sent out to each resident, and not only a letter, but it will be online as well. So you can pull down or draw down those applications, fill it out, and send it into the city, and then we will do our part to get it to you as quick as possible.
Okay, so you're saying every citizen will receive that letter?
Yes. And if you don't, remember, it's online, so you could pull that down, or you could download the application online and fill it in and send it in to us.
So should we, or should you all change this resolution where it says these payments will be issued no later than February 29, 2024?
For that, I would leave the council to resolve for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I would say that if that is in there, that clearly at February 29th, it has not gone out. But what Treasurer Stewart is saying, that more information will be sent out to citizens, and hopefully we'll refrain from putting absolute dates in there that will get us in the same situation we're in now, where we miss a deadline. So the city will plan accordingly and try to get these payments out as quickly as we can, but I cannot make any promises and hold to a certain date.
Mr. President, I do want to clear up one thing. The checks are going to residential homeowners, not every citizen, because Ms. Crutchfield was saying, so, every citizen will get a check, and no, it's residential homeowners. Just want to clear that up.
Correct. Thank you. Ms. Wilson? No, Ms. Wilson. Oh, did you have something to say, Mr. Best? Oh, okay. And if you get Ms. Wilson, we could just bring the mic down to you so it can hear.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just want to make sure.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they can hear you now.
Okay. I would just encourage everyone to use their playground voices. Anybody in here, use your playground voices, because people cannot hear you. That's not what I wanted to say. That's just a bonus.
All right.
Okay. So I'd like to talk about equal representation. Okay, with the United States government, it provides for each state to be represented in the Senate by 2 senators, each with a single vote, and the Constitution ensures that all states are equal in the Senate, regardless of their relative population, wealth, power, or size. I think the citizens of Glenarden should have equal representation. There are 3 wards in the city of Glenarden, and every ward should have the same number of representatives. Currently, this is not the case. Currently, there are 4 council members who are from Ward 3, 1 council member who is from Ward 2, and 2 council members who are from Ward 1. This is not equal representation. This type of unequal representation results when you have 4 at-large council persons. I believe that I heard from a council member that no citizen had expressed that they didn't want 4 at-large / 1 ward representation. I have been advocating for 2-2-2-1 representation. So therefore, I have made it known that I don't want the 1 representative per ward / 4 at-large representatives. I'm very concerned about citizens having equal and fair representation. I've even heard a council member talking about taking the ward system away. The citizens of Glenarden want the ward system. The representation system that we have now is not equal, and it is not fair. It is a manipulated system. It makes it so that the majority of council members can come from 1 ward. When a previous council voted that all council members be at large, the result of the election revealed 5 council members lived in the same ward. That was not fair. Prior to that election, 2 council members were represented Ward 1, 2 council members represented Ward 2, 1 council member represented Ward 3, and there were 2 at-large representatives. The 2-2-2-1 is the fairest and most equitable representation. Instead of trying to eliminate or keep specific persons from being in office, you should be doing what is the right thing to do. There should be a concern for the citizens to have representation the most democratic way. It shouldn't be that the council decide the type of ward representation that citizens can have based on the way that they would help them, meaning the council, to keep or maintain their seats at election time. Equal and fair representation has been taken away from the people, from the citizens of Glenarden. Are you trying to be unfair as we see and hear of gerrymandering in other states? What's happening in Glenarden is no different. It all boils down to gerrymandering. There's manipulation. You're putting more voting power in 1 ward than in others. Let's be fair. What are we teaching our youth? Are we saying to them that it's okay to manipulate things so they can be in their favor? Are we saying to them that this is how we want them to do things? We are supposed to be their examples. Let's do the right thing and have fair and equitable representation for all wards and for all citizens of the city of Glenarden. 2-2-2-1 representation is fair and equitable to everyone. So I believe that illustrations help you to see where we are. This is where we are now. As of today, April the 15th, 2024, Ward 1 has 1 representative, Ward 2 has 1 representative, Ward 3 has 1 representative, and at-large representatives are 4. And those 4 reside in 1 from Ward 1 and 3 others from Ward 3. So that means these 3 go up here. You got 4 people from Ward 3. This is my proposal. That Ward 1 have 2 representatives. Ward 2 have 2 representatives. Ward 3 have 2 representatives. And you're at large for all wards, you have 1. That's fair. What we have now is not fair. And anyone who thinks that what we have now is fair, you're totally mistaken. So please consider the presentation that I've given you tonight, my opinions, what I feel is right for all citizens, and that's where we should be. We should be thinking about the citizens, not ourselves. Let's think about what's right. We talk about the future. What are we teaching the kids? Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wilson, I do have an honest question.
Sure.
Because I know you were a former council member and you
I didn't get my, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Have knowledge of what happened in the past. So when when there was a vote for previously for all representatives to be at large, what was the rationale behind that?
I don't know. I guess they're trying to manipulate.
No, I'm
You're
sorry.
talking about for the five
in the past.
for the five where it ended up with 5 people.
No. Not too long in the past, there was a change by the former council. I don't know if it was councils ago that switched the system to all at large, and I'm just curious as to what was the rationale behind going to all at large.
I wasn't on the council at that time, and it was manipulation because of how it was
and
done.
Then the second question is,
yes,
when there was 2 representatives for Ward 1, 2 representatives for Ward 2, only 1 representative for Ward 3, and 2 at large, what was the rationale behind that?
That was in place when I came into the city.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Council. No, that was out. It was
okay.
Just previous history. Thank you. Yeah. So 1 second. I'm going to Councilmember Fareed, and then you can have your 5 minutes. Councilwoman Fareed.
Yes, thank you, Council President.
Yeah, you're going to have to speak. I'm sorry. Mr. Gray, can you please turn her up? You're really going to have to speak up. You're lower than all the other ones, Mrs. Councilwoman Fareed.
Okay, is that better?
We'll all be quiet and listen.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that per the discussion of the council at our March 26th meeting, we decided not to make any changes to the charter regarding the ward system. So there is no change in terms of the representation. We are moving forward with the same representation that was at the last election, which I believe Councilwoman Wilson was on the council when that structure was determined. So we are not making any changes. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that with the United States government, we do not just have a Senate. There are 2 chambers. The other chamber is the House of Representatives. And that House of Representatives is based upon the population, and it is direct representation of the people, meaning that in the districts that the representatives are representing, they are determined based upon the population of the people. So it's not an even distribution of the representatives across the districts. Our form of government is more representative of the House of Representatives. And if we were going to follow it closely, we would be doing it based upon the proportion of residents that live in Ward 1, Ward 2, and Ward 3, which is what was being done previously when Ward 3 did not encompass Wilmore Town Center. And that is why Ward 3 only had 1 representative versus Ward 2 and Ward 1 having 2 representatives. So if we want to talk about equal representation, we ought to look at the population of the city and the distribution across the city and have the representation be based upon that distribution.
Thank you. Ma'am?
If I could just say one thing, I gave my presentation because the changes that have been made, that were discussed, have not been voted upon. And so I'm suggesting that this be the type of representation that we have now be changed, because 4 is not fair. And it was done, yes, it was done during the time that I was in office, but again, it was a manipulative thing. So
Thank you.
I'm giving.
We've seen your presentation, and we've heard your opinion, and we appreciate you coming to make your voice heard. Thank you.
I would like the council to consider it.
Thank you.
And I want the people to know.
Thank you. And the people have heard your voice. Thank you.
I hate to tell you this, but I'm in agreement with her.
Could you state your name, please?
Oh, Vanessa Armstrong, and I'm in Ward 1. And I'm not going by, quote, population or anything. I just like the fact that when I have two people, because James, Mr. Herring, approach him all the time. I haven't in a while, but I like the idea that a representative is within walking distance from me, and I get to know that representative. So I'm looking more at the fact that I can have a personable relationship with the representative, and they're able to provide me with updates. And anything that happens in my ward, and I have some concerns, they're usually the same concerns with them. So I feel more comfortable approaching Mr. Herring than Mrs. Ferguson, because if, like last year, there was a pothole right on Johnson Avenue. It affects me, but it also affects the representative. So that's why, and I don't think it's fair that we only have one representative to go to. So that's my reason. And the other issue is with the music. When the weather gets nice, I'm Lieutenant Robinson, hopefully he won't hear from me, but there was talk with the other chief, unfortunately the one that passed, that he was going to start issuing fines if he has to come out to the home more than one time. And I think that would help if the residents who tends to not pay attention to the officers, because I had a neighbor, they'll go to that resident and talk to them, and as soon as they turn the corner, they turn their music back up. So I would like to see people who disobey be charged with some kind of fine. And I think that would cut down the music. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Armstrong. Make it brief, please.
Thank you, Council President. Ms. Armstrong, there is a requirement in the charter, but also in the code. And I provided to the city manager an actual machine, a device that within the feet that is required by the code, that we can actually come and issue citations on the spot. So with that particular noise ordinance, it does have a device that tells them how loud they can be. And that also helps train the residents when they say, well, how loud is too loud? Then we can actually come out and do preventative maintenance ahead of what is going to be the summer parties that, you know, we frequently have to address. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Cross. Councilwoman Fareed, is that a new hand or?
Yes, it's a new hand. I was, if you would allow me to share something, Council President, I think it would be helpful for us to look at a map of the city of Glenarden.
Okay. Yeah, you should have access to share something.
Okay, can you all see the map of Glenarden?
Everyone in the front of the room can see the map, and everyone online can see the map. So if you are in the back and you would like to see what Councilwoman Fareed is presenting, if you could please come to the front. Give me just 1 second, Councilwoman Fareed. And there's a computer up in the back, so they. All right, Ms. Wilson is front center. Hold on, wait, Ms. Smallwood's coming up too. All right, Ms. Fareed, Councilwoman Fareed, go ahead. And just speak up, please.
Okay. Yes, this is the map of the city of Glenarden. This area circled in purple, outlined in purple, is Ward 1. This area outlined in this blue-green color is Ward 2. And the area outlined in red is Ward 3. So I would just say, citizens, for yourself, just looking at this, if you think it would be equal representation for each of these geographical areas to have the same number of representatives. From what I can see here, Ward 3 is much larger than Ward 1 and Ward 2. So the current system that we have is equitable in that every ward gets one representative and then the rest are at large. And of our at large, they are not just limited to Ward 3. But I don't think anyone should be surprised if there are a lot of representatives from Ward 3 because Ward 3 is the largest percentage of the city. That's all.
Council President, Mayor.
One second. Councilwoman Fareed, are you finished?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I am. This is exactly what Ms. Wilson.
Councilman Herring.
Oh,
go ahead.
Oh, this is exactly what Ms. Wilson was talking about. You're looking at size, and in this case, size does not matter. If you look at Ward 3, 50% of Ward 3 is retail. 50% of Ward 3 is retail. When Woodmore came online, it added 478 new homes. That's it. Existing Ward 3 homes were about 170, I think it was. So it's about 600 homes in total, residential homes that will count as population. Whereas Ward 2 now has almost 600 with the new addition of Glenarden Hills, the townhomes and apartments. And Ward 1 has about 600 with the apartments and the residential homes. So they're almost equally, you can't look at the size. In this case, size does not matter. Like you said, you can't say size matter in this instance, but then say population matters in another instance. Population is all that matters when it comes to this. 50% of that is retail. If you cut out that retail there, it's going to be the same size as every other ward in there, in the city of Glenarden, if you take the retail out. And I was on the council when we did that, and we specifically split it in half, 50-50. So, again, the homes it's about 600 homes in each ward. And if you look at the population, it's about equal. So it isn't fair representation. You can't sit there and say it's the biggest because it's got more geographic area. That makes absolutely no sense. It makes none whatsoever because I got a large, nice sized retail area on my side. I'm gonna count that as part of my population. No, you don't. You got to look at the numbers.
And a different issue.
Council President.
Well, you know,
Ms. Armstrong, Ms. Armstrong.
I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
But I'm just saying, you got to look at the homes. The count is about the same now, and I know that because we did the count before. It's almost 600 homes in each ward. Ward 2 was behind until they built Glenarden Hills, which is adding another 400 homes. Thank you.
Thank you,
Council President.
So if the homes are about the same in each ward, Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3, it's about the same amount of people. And then you have one representative representing each ward and then 4 at large. And then you have to take in consideration the people that are running for the seats. It's the people that elect us is what puts us in the seat, not necessarily because there's 500 homes in Ward 1, 500 homes in Ward 2, and 500 homes in Ward 3. If I decide to run for a position or you decide to run for a position and the people elect you, this is what you look at because this is who the people elected. This is what's going to be justified no matter what happens. Who votes for you? Who's elected? I elected you to be in the position. I didn't look at where you lived, especially for the at-large persons. I'm looking at this is the person that I'm choosing to represent me in this arena. Thank you.
Thank you. So, all right, if we could be brief, because I see another citizen's comment, so I want to be able to get to them. But I saw Guillaume, so I'll go to Guillaume first.
Council President, actually, Councilwoman Fareed had her hand up and it went down and came back up when she did the map, so I can let her go first. If that's okay, then I'll just go right after.
Sure.
Thank you, Councilwoman Guillaume. Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to follow up on the point that we represent retail space as well. Wherever we are receiving tax dollars from, that's what we represent, right? We all learned this in elementary school. No taxation without representation. So we cannot discount the retail portion of Ward 3. as being the area that's being represented by the city
Yes, she
council
is.
as well.
We can't hear you in here, Councilwoman Fareed. You faded out at the end, so.
Well, what part did you hear?
Well, I think we understood the gist of your comment. That representatives in Ward 3 represent retail space as well.
Yes.
I can't hear you anything you're saying.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and I understand people have their opinion. It's great. It's democracy, but if you can, please, with not outbursts. I get it. I get it. I get it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Councilwoman Guillaume.
Thank you, Council President. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I do want to say that I do agree with what Councilwoman Jones said. If we're saying that each ward has equal distribution and they voted for at-large, and that means every ward voted for the at-large members. So I do agree with that, with what Councilwoman Jones said. I also want to say that even with the 2221, for example, right, there's still going to be an issue because the at-large person is going to live in another ward anyway. So that means a ward is still going to have one representative more than another, even if we do 2221. So that's number two. Number three is I do want to say that no one is going to be ever 100% happy with wherever people land. It's just human nature. We can all say all at large. We can all say 1114. We can say 222 never. It's not going to actually please everyone, right? So just want to say that. But I also want to lastly say that we need to also, as citizens, hold ourselves accountable. If we have more than one council person in our ward and we choose to only go to one and not the other, we can't say that we need more representatives. So if we have, for example, Ward 1 has two council members that live in that part of the city. We have Councilman Herring and Councilwoman Ferguson. You have two people. If you only choose to go to one person, that's you choosing to go to one person because there's another representative that's also there per the argument. Again, I'm just saying that. Now, as far as I'm concerned, when you say that you only have one representative, you actually have at least five. You have one that lives there, but there are four at-large people. If you choose not to call the other four, you cannot say that the other four people are not representing you. What you are saying is you don't want the other four to represent you. That's what you want to really say. So let's all just really look at the context of how we're breaking it down. So thank you.
Thank you. So then I'll go to Vice President Ferguson, and the final comment will go to Cynthia Gray.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, President. I also concur with Councilwoman Jones and Guillaume. She pretty much said what I had to say. I live in Ward 1, yes, and I've lived in Ward 1 since 1959. And I was elected as councilperson when it was at large, and I was one of the five that, lived in Ward 1, but the entire council originally lived in Ward 1, but one moved into Ward 3 and one moved to Ward 2, but we all was from Ward 1, grew up at Ward 1. And so the other thing I wanted to say is that at large, when we ran at large, the citizens, regardless, some people say it's not fair, but the citizens, we were elected by the citizens. Now, I don't remember exactly how many ran for council in 17, but I know in 21, I think it was 14. And again, we wind up with 3 at large from Ward 3, but we had people from all over. The other thing I wanted to say is that, and I say often, is that, and people, they have their preferences and they're entitled to that, to their preferences. I can walk to your house. I can walk, less than, not even 5 minutes to Councilman Herring's house. So there are several people that call me and that do not call Councilman Herring, but it's just preference, and you're entitled to your preference. So when people vote, they vote. Just like when we're voting for the President of the United States, or whoever we vote for, anyone, a Senate or whatever, we vote for who we vote for. So I don't see where it can be manipulation. I don't see where it's going to be, but I give people credit for the entitlement for their preference, and I'm not offended by that. But I will not, take the responsibility or the accountability of somebody voting for me or voting for anyone on this council because it was manipulated. It is the choice of the people. And if it happens to be the next election, everybody from Ward 1, then, that's what it would be. if we were at large, hypothetically. But I don't think it's fair to say that that even if we went 2-2-2-2, you still might not get the person you want. It could be 4 people running for Ward 1, and so somebody's still going to be complaining. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gray?
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Gray. I'm from Ward 3. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Tonight, I just wanted to highlight and bring to the attention of the council members again regarding the traffic in Ward 3, specifically on Campus Way North and Ruby Lockhart. I would like to suggest and request more police initiative to combat the speeding in these areas, and also work in somehow to get physical signage for pedestrians to be able to cross these streets as our ward grows, which we welcome. I feel like there's initiatives that need to follow with it that are gonna contribute to the safety of the citizens of from all the wards that visit the shopping center. And I would really love to see, like I said, physical signage and some initiatives on the police part to really reduce the speeding, which is really bad, to the point where we've had a handful of parked vehicles on Campus Way North be hit and damaged at all hours of the day. And me personally, almost get hit several times because the lighting is poor and there's no real signage for people to slow down. And I would like that addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, is there an update on the turnover of Woodmore, Mayor Cross?
Thank you for the question. No, D.R. Horton still has to do the underdrain. And listen, if we don't get this done, this is literally $100,000 per section project. So we're looking at $1 million if there were problems with this underdrain. So what we need to do as a city is to ask D.R. Horton why they find it in good taste to not respond to the HOA, who asked for the original plans that were there when this whole development was built. It has not been provided. The HOA asked for D.R. Horton to make it clear and plain what they intended as far as their get-will plan, get-will strategy for the underdrains, which they changed, which we were supposed to have those cute little grates that you have on the BW Parkway. What they did was they locked up our sidewalks with big oak trees, and then they put concrete lining where it should have been underdrains to take the water off of the streets, and then they locked that with asphalt. So in about 10 years, we're going to have a shaky foundation. Those true oak trees are going to come in with their roots, and we're going to have cracked sidewalks and destroyed streets. So D.R. Horton has crafted a problem. So to answer your question, they need to give us the original plans, and they need to do what the mayor has asked them to do, which is assess the streets that have the most flooding, because what we don't want is that to become an HOA problem. So we are still waiting for them, but we need to figure out legally, Kevin Kapinski, legally what we need to do to get them to respond to the HOA, because they're acting like they don't have a requirement.
Thank you,
sir.
And Lieutenant, from a police perspective, can we do anything on those streets as it relates to what Ms. Gray is talking about as it relates to speeding? Yeah. And Ms. Gray, what specifically streets are you talking about?
Campus Way North
Campus Way North and Ruby Lockhart?
and Ruby Lockhart, yes. But may I add a quick comment?
Sure.
Just so it's my understanding that Campus Way North and Ruby Lockhart do not have this drainage issue, and I feel like there's things that could be done now, whereas I understand the inside of my community does need to wait for the turnover. Is that correct?
Repeat that last part, the inside of the community?
Campus Way North and Ruby Lockhart have the proper drainage that it needs. It's only the inside of the community that does not have. So there are things that could be done now to those main streets as far as traffic calming, physical signage or initiatives on the police part.
No, as specifically, I think specifically as it relates to Ruby Lockhart and Campus Way North, she's asking if anything can be done for those areas as it relates to traffic calming solutions. Okay. All right. Did you hear that, Ms. Gray?
No, I couldn't hear.
He said that on Ruby Lockhart, they could put a run radar, and I guess start monitoring on Ruby Lockhart. On Campus Way North, they do not have jurisdiction to do anything on Campus Way North.
Does that include the police stopping and doing police stops for speeding?
That's what I'm talking about. We're going to run radar. Radar will stop the speeders.
Yes.
So can you do the radar on Campus Way North?
No, that's not our jurisdiction.
Okay, so Prince George's County would have to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Prince George County will have to do Campus Way North, and what the lieutenant is saying that they can beef up patrols on Ruby Lockhart where they would use a radar to pull people over. Councilmember Fareed.
Yes, I just wanted to remind people, if they were not aware, that we are having a town hall on April 22nd to discuss the traffic issues at Wilmore Town Center, the shopping center, and the residential area. We have our partners with us, Urban Edge, who they actually have responsibility for Ruby Lockhart, and they will be at that session. So I would recommend that anybody who has suggestions on what they'd like to see attend that meeting. Urban Edge does need to approve anything that goes on over there because that is their jurisdiction, just like it would be the case, within the HOA streets, that approval would need to come from the HOA and similar to the county. So that is on Monday, April 22nd at 7 p.m.
So Councilwoman Fareed, is not April the 18th, correct?
No, it's April 22nd.
I'm saying that because there's been a misunderstanding. So it is April the 22nd and not April the 18th. Okay. For traffic. I have no clue what the 18th is. Okay. All right. With that being said, I see no other comments. So the council reserves the right to go into closed session during any time during a public meeting. I'm sorry, did I miss something? The council plans to go into closed session to consult with legal counsel tonight. So pursuant to Annotated Code of Maryland State Government Article Section 10-508A, the council by majority vote may retire to executive or closed session at any time during a meeting. Should the council retire to executive or closed session, the chair will announce the reason and a report be issued at a future meeting disclosing the reasons for the closed session. And again, I repeat, this is to discuss a legal matter. And with that, I motion that the council go into closed session to discuss this matter.
Second.
Second by Herring. Any discussion? Okay, I'll go for a voice vote. Councilmember Herring?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Fareed?
Yes.
Councilmember Guillaume?
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Mr. Gray, when you stop the recording, could you please come downstairs, please, to the council chambers? With that, the open portion of this meeting is now closed. Thank you for citizens who are coming out. Our next meeting is April 22nd for the traffic calming town hall. Where is it? Which will be here at the Municipal Center. Thank you.